So, Donald Trump had a Fox News interview tonight with Fox host Sean Hannity. He called into the show, and as you would expect from both sides, it was complete garbage. I mean, just terrible. On the Fox News side with Sean Hannity, just easy questions, complete softballs, nothing challenging, nothing policy related. And in that same vein, with those easy questions, Donald Trump totally flopped. Just couldn't answer them. Instead, he opted for incoherent rants and airing out his grievances with the world, especially the criminal trials against him and the civil cases against him and all that stuff. So really, really just terrible. But you gotta see some of these clips. I mean, it's so bad. People wonder why Donald Trump doesn't do more public rallies, probably because of this. And you'll see what I mean in just a second. So the first clip I want to show you is Donald Trump just going on a completely incoherent rant. And please tell me if you understand what he's talking about here, if it makes any sense, because I have no idea what he's saying here. Just take a look.
No wars. I mean, I had no wars. We're heading into World War III, in my opinion, with this man semi-running things, because he's not running things. The people that surround the Oval Office, the people that surround the Resolute desk, the beautiful Resolute desk, they're really running things in Washington, I suspect, and it's very bad. And he got them into the warfare and lawfare, many different terms you can use, but basically going after your political opponent, using the Justice Department, using local DAs, using local attorney generals, going after your political opponent. Nobody's ever seen anything like that. And there are those. I just read an article that it's been a positive for me, but it's not a positive. It's very unfair. It's fighting an unfair battle. But he's the one that got us into that. And all these lawsuits you see and everything else, that's all Biden-inspired, meaning Biden people inspired. And it's very sad. I think it's a very sad time for our country. We're not respected anywhere in the world. He's not respected. And our country is in very serious trouble. And I'll tell you what, if we're not careful, we're going to be right in the middle of World War III, and that will be a war like nobody's seen before because of the weaponry. The weaponry is a whole lot different than two army tanks going up against each other. This is a whole different world, and we don't have somebody that can properly represent us. There's no question about that.
Yeah, so I watched that clip a couple of times in preparation for this video, and I have no idea what he's saying. No idea what he's saying. In a minute 30, he talked about 5 different things. Number 1, World War III. Said we're going into World War III. I have no idea what he's talking about. Then he brought up the Resolute desk in the Oval Office. Then he said that Joe Biden was behind his criminal prosecution and that the people around him were. Then he talked about World War III again, and then he spread the conspiracy theory that Joe Biden's not actually leading and that if there was a war, we wouldn't have a president. All in a minute 30. A minute 30 seconds, he covered all of those things. And even in the middle, you probably heard, Sean Hannity tried to jump in and stop him. He tried to jump in, but no. Donald Trump just kept going and kept going and kept going, and instead ranted. So I had to show you this clip because, number 1, it makes no sense. It's just terrible. But number 2, we are currently in a media frenzy right now where people are questioning President Biden's ability to serve. He's perfectly fit to serve. He's been cleared by doctors a number of times, but that's currently the media frenzy right now. And they're focusing on Joe Biden, who every once in a while, he'll stutter in a speech because he has a speech impediment. He has a stutter. Or he'll misspeak naturally, as every single human ever has done. And they'll focus on that. They'll nitpick those small moments. But then Donald Trump, on the other hand, is doing stuff like this, ranting incoherently to the point that nobody understands what he's saying. And even Fox News hosts are trying to jump in there to get him to stop. And there's not a word. You do not hear about it. You do not hear Donald Trump saying we're going into World War II, which happened 80 years ago. You do not hear Donald Trump confusing his ex-wife with E. Jean Carroll. You don't hear about it. You don't hear Donald Trump saying that Obama is still president, that he ran against Obama. He confused Jeb Bush and George W. Bush. All of these moments. He confused Nikki Haley and Nancy Pelosi. Don't forget that one. All of these moments, not covered. Not covered, not talked about in the context of this conversation about who's fit to serve. It's remarkable. That's just incoherent nonsense. And as I always say, with this in mind, I will every day of the week take President Biden, the guy who invests in infrastructure, invests in fighting climate change, lowering healthcare costs, expanding veterans' healthcare, and more, who's old, over the old guy, Donald Trump, who's rambling like this, and also doesn't have any policy that's going to help the American people, tried to destroy democracy, convicted felon, proven sexual abuser. The list goes on of the negatives of Donald Trump. So That was just a little bit of his Fox News interview tonight, and I had to point out the incoherence of his answers this evening just because of the moment we're in right now, with the media focusing on Joe Biden, but they don't focus on this. Not a word from Sean Hannity after that. Sean Hannity didn't even know what he was saying. He tried to jump in. He tried to jump in for that very reason. So I had to show you that because I just think it's ironic given the timing. But the second clip I want to show you is Donald Trump just lying to the American people, just openly and proudly as he does so often. So take a look at that.
They're pouring into our country as prisoners, as mental patients. They're coming into our country, and they're coming in also as terrorists. And this is poisoning our country. And nobody should have been subjected to this. They should never have been allowed to do this. There's nothing good that can come of it. And we're going to have to get these criminals, and a lot of them are criminals, and very high-level, very bad criminals. We're going to get them out. We're going to have the largest deportation in our history, larger than the Eisenhower deportation. And we have no choice. I don't want to do that. But this man has destroyed our country.
Yeah. So as you can probably tell, he's talking about immigration. He's using his line that they're poisoning the blood of the country, which is disgusting. It's in reference to Nazi Germany and World War II. Just horrible, horrible things coming from Donald Trump's mouth. Not only is it just disgusting what he said, it's also not true. Right? It's just not true. And the reason I showed you this clip in particular is because I have some data to show you. It's Donald Trump's worst enemy. Fact and studies and data is Donald Trump's worst enemy. But just take a look at your screen right now. So illegal border crossings right now are plummeting. Preliminary data for June show they're lower than they were same time of year in 2019, Trump's last pre-pandemic year. You can see the graph right there. It's from government sources. It's from a government source right there. You can see that the border crossings are around the same level they were in 2019. So Donald Trump saying we have a border crisis. Sorry, Joe Biden has solved it. Joe Biden has solved it. The border crossings are going down dramatically. And in that same vein, on that same topic, the Department of Homeland Security says that in the 3 weeks since President Biden's executive order limiting asylum processing, Border Patrol's 7-day encounter average has decreased more than 40% to 2,400 encounters a day. And on that topic as well, just a reminder that President Biden, recognizing there was a problem at the border, introduced immigration legislation on day one of his presidency called the U.S. Citizenships Act of 2021. Number one, Republicans rejected that bill. And then President Biden reached out to Senate Republicans and Senate Democrats. They came to an agreement on an immigration bill that would do a lot of things that Republicans wanted, some things that Democrats wanted. It was a bipartisan bill that would dramatically reform our immigration system, making it harder to come in illegally, easier to come in legally. And Donald Trump blocked the bill. He called up his buddies in Congress, told them to block the bill, vote against it so Joe Biden wouldn't get an immigration win. So knowing this, Joe Biden saw that, signed an executive order in regarding asylum, and even signed one regarding keeping immigrant families together, which is fantastic. Something that Donald Trump didn't do during his term. He separated kids with his family separation policy from their parents. So I have no idea what Donald Trump's talking about here. Joe Biden's the one actually taking action on the border, on immigration. Donald Trump, on the other hand, is the guy blocking bills, blocking policy, blocking things from getting done on this very issue. So he's rambling incoherently about a border problem when he is the guy that blocked the progress, that blocked the solution. That's who Donald Trump is. That's what his campaign's all about. So that was Donald Trump's Fox News interview tonight. Utter garbage, lies, conspiracies, ramblings. It is what it is with Donald Trump. It's the usual with Donald Trump these days. I would expect nothing less from him, especially in an interview with Sean Hannity. You know, he can ramble incoherently, never get pushed back. He can lie, never get pushed back as well. That's the network that Fox News is. So I'll leave it there. Thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate you being here. Make sure to subscribe down below. It goes an incredibly long way. Also drop a like on the video and comment. Let me know what you think about what Donald Trump said here. And as always, I greatly appreciate you, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.